You think busting your ass, grinding endlessly, makes you a man of power? You're dead wrong. Most men are trapped in this lie, losing respect, their emotional control, and falling prey to subtle manipulation in their relationships. This isn't about working harder. It's about a ruthless masculine strategy, a mental game inspired by Machiavelli himself. Today, we expose why relentless effort without direction makes you useful, but never truly powerful. It strips you of the essence of a high-value man. Ignore this truth and remain a pawn, perpetually exhausted and ripe for control. Pay attention and learn to dominate. The illusion of doing more is a psychological cage. Society applauds the man who sacrifices sleep, health, and sanity on the altar of output. They call it dedication. I call it naive servitude. You become an efficient cog in someone else's machine, dependable but not indispensable. Real power isn't about hours logged. It's about leverage. It's orchestrating outcomes, not merely executing tasks. Who truly benefits from your ceaseless toil? Often not. You trade finite time and energy for fleeting validation. While those with a clear masculine strategy, those who understand the true mental game, harvest your labor's fruits, dictating terms, maintaining emotional control amidst your fatigue. This isn't conspiracy, it's basic human dynamics, a form of societal manipulation, keeping the gears turning for the few at the top. Perpetually exhausted, your judgment cloud's resilience diminishes. Your ability to think strategically, assert boundaries, demand respect, crumbles. You become predictable. In psychological warfare, predictability is weakness. The game shifts from effort to intelligence. A true high-value man guards his time and energy. He doesn't squander them on unexamined effort. He invests strategically, like a master chess player calculating moves ahead. He works smart, applying Machiavelli's timeless principles, understanding human nature, perceiving hidden levers of influence, acting with calculated precision, not frantic desperation. This isn't laziness. It's strategic economy of force, conserving energy for crucial battles, for moves that amplify your power, rather than diffusing it across irrelevant fronts. Drained, you cede advantage. You become reactive, a puppet on strings you don't realize are there. This endless grind, this illusion of progress, prevents you from mastering your own domain. You strengthen another's empire, not build your own. And this leads us directly to the crucial distinction between being busy and being truly effective. Being busy is a cultural fetish, a badge of pseudo-importance. It's the illusion of progress, a frantic flailing that often signifies a lack of a coherent masculine strategy. A man constantly in motion, without clear direction or tangible output, is merely burning fuel without advancing. This isn't effectiveness, it's a glorified treadmill. Machiavelli would scoff at such a display, seeing it not as strength, but as a transparent cover for a lack of true power. For him, power was about outcome, not effort. The distinction lies in impact. Effectiveness is about wielding influence, achieving objectives, making your actions count. It's about precision, not volume. The high-value man understands that his time and energy are finite, his most valuable currency. He exercises *** emotional control *** to resist the societal pressure to be perpetually on and visibly working. He doesn't fall for the subtle manipulation that equates exhaustion with success. He plays the mental game at a higher level, asking not what can I do, but what must I do, with maximum leverage. This means ruthlessly prioritizing. It means saying no to distractions, to tasks that contribute nothing to his long-term vision. It means understanding that true respect isn't garnered by sacrificing himself on the altar of busyness, but by delivering results with strategic intent. It's the difference between swinging a hammer blindly and surgically placing a precision strike. The former is busy, the latter is powerful. A man focused on effectiveness employs his intellect to minimize effort for maximum gain. A core tenet of Machiavellian thought. He conserves his resources, not because he's lazy, but because he's a general preparing for the decisive battle. Not skirmishing on every front, he builds systems, delegates intelligently, automates where possible, to free up his most critical resource, his strategic thinking. This leads us to the critical role of self-awareness in this equation. Self-awareness isn't some soft, touchy-feely concept. It's a brutal strategic weapon. It's the internal intelligence report that informs your entire masculine strategy. Without it, you're merely a pawn in someone else's mental game, easily swayed by the winds of societal expectation and manipulation. A high-value man possesses an almost clinical understanding of his own motivations, his strengths, his vulnerabilities. He knows when he's performing out of genuine purpose versus when he's reacting to an external stimulus designed to keep him busy, docile, and ultimately, ineffective. This acute self-knowledge is the bedrock of true emotional control. You cannot master your external world if you're enslaved by your internal reactions. The man who understands his own desires, fears, and triggers can proactively design his life, rather than reactively chase fleeting goals. He recognizes the subtle currents of the current culture that pushed men towards constant, visible exertion, often without meaningful direction. He sees through the facade, understanding that such behavior is often a desperate plea for external validation, not a path to genuine power or respect. Machiavelli understood that a leader must know himself as intimately as he knows his enemies. This isn't just about strengths, but about owning your weaknesses, not to be paralyzed by them but to strategize around them. It's about understanding your finite energy and directing it with surgical precision. Only then can you truly allocate your resources, time, energy, focus to the battles that truly matter, refusing to be drawn into trivial skirmishes. This profound self-awareness is the ignition switch for authentic purpose and disciplined action. It forces you to confront the uncomfortable truth. Are you charting your own course, or are you merely adrift in the currents set by others? But the journey to this level of clarity, however, demands a ruthless honesty that most shy away from, revealing the true cost of unexamined ambition. The true cost of unexamined ambition is not merely exhaustion, but the insidious decay of potential. It's the man who works harder, not smarter, mistaking activity for achievement. He's trapped in a cyclical grind, convinced that sheer brute force will breach the walls of his aspirations, yet fails to see the hidden gates. This is where the mental game truly begins, recognizing that the greatest battles are fought and won not in the arena of relentless exertion, but in the quiet chambers of the mind, where strategy is forged. The lion doesn't sprint aimlessly across the savannah. He conserves energy, observes, calculates, and then, only then, unleashes a decisive strike. His power isn't in constant motion, but in precise execution. This is the essence of a potent *** masculine strategy, ***, the understanding that every move must have a purpose, every pause a reason. Without this discipline, you become a pawn in an invisible game, easily swayed by the superficial demands of a society that champions busyness over effectiveness. Consider how easily a man can be led astray. He's fed a steady diet of narratives, suggesting that the path to respect and status is paved with endless hours, visible struggle, and public displays of effort. This is a subtle form of manipulation, designed to keep him in a reactive state, always chasing, never truly leading. A high-value man understands this psychological warfare. He knows that genuine influence comes from a place of calm, calculated intent, not frantic flailing. This unwavering emotional control allows him to resist the urge to perform, to prove, to constantly be seen doing something. He doesn't need external validation to affirm his path. He operates from a place of inner conviction, channeling his energy with the precision of a master craftsman, not the desperate swings of a novice. Machiavelli would commend the man who prioritizes effective action over visible effort, understanding that true power is often most potent when unseen, when it's shaping outcomes from the shadows through meticulous planning and patience. This isn't about laziness. It's about a superior form of work, intellectual strategic labor that precedes and directs physical effort. The raw, unfiltered truth is that most men are not engaging in this level of strategic thought. They are merely reacting to external stimuli, to the perceived demands of their world. They are playing a shallow game, convinced they are moving forward, when in reality they are merely expending energy on the treadmill of public expectation. They're caught in a subtle manipulation, believing that constant motion equals progress, that visibility equates to value. This isn't a masculine strategy, it's a hamster wheel designed to keep them too busy, too distracted to engage in the deep, critical thought that truly generates power. The real threat to any established order, to any status quo, isn't the loud protester. It's the quiet observer, the one who refuses to play by the system's rules of constant performance. This is where the mental game truly begins. It's about understanding that the less you broadcast, the more you absorb. The less you explain, the more you are respected for your actions rather than your intentions. A high-value man understands that his energy is finite, a strategic resource. He guards it fiercely, refusing to squander it on performative theatrics. He doesn't seek applause, he seeks results. This requires an almost ruthless emotional control, the discipline to sit in silence, to observe, to process, rather than to react impulsively or seek immediate gratification through external validation. Think of it as the ultimate form of psychological warfare. While others are shouting their efforts from the rooftops, vying for fleeting attention, the strategic man is in the quiet war room of his mind, mapping out the battlefield, identifying vulnerabilities, and charting an unpredictable course. This isn't just about avoiding burnout. It's about cultivating an advantage, a superior vantage point. The silence isn't empty, it's pregnant with potential, with clarity. It's the incubator for insights that others, drowned in noise, can never access. Machiavelli understood that sometimes the most potent moves are those made in the shadows, not out of cowardice, but out of strategic brilliance. He'd recognized that the man who masters the art of observation and internal processing gains a profound power that superficial visibility can never replicate. This leads to a level of respect that is earned, not demanded or begged for. It's the kind of respect that shifts the dynamics of any room, any negotiation, simply by his presence, not his bluster. But how does one cultivate this profound, internal stillness amidst a world screaming for attention. This internal stillness isn't some passive Zen state. It's an aggressive posture in the mental game of life. It's cultivated through relentless self-discipline, by actively disengaging from the desperate modern urge to broadcast every thought, every plan, every nascent idea. It requires a profound level of emotional control, an almost surgical detachment from the immediate gratification of external validation. You must learn to value the internal blueprint over the external applause. This is where the true foundation of a high-value man is forged. Consider the energy drain of constantly explaining yourself, defending your nascent ideas, or seeking approval. Each word spoken about an unexecuted plan is a tiny leak in your power reservoir, a minute chip in your strategic armor. By holding your counsel, by refusing to disclose your full hand, you conserve that vital energy. You become less predictable, more formidable. This isn't about deception. It's about strategic ambiguity. It's about letting your results speak, rather than premature announcements. Machiavelli would commend this approach, understanding that the perception of invincibility, or at least inscrutability, is a potent weapon. When others don't know what you're truly planning, they project their fears, their hopes, their assumptions onto you. This allows you to subtly guide their reactions, engaging in a sophisticated form of manipulation where your silence acts as the stage director. You control the narrative not by dictating it, but by leaving enough space for others to write it in your favor based on your calculated actions. This strategic withholding earns genuine respect. It tells the world that you are a man of substance, not spectacle. It demonstrates a rare self-possession that instantly differentiates you from the clamoring masses. This is a core masculine strategy to act from a place of considered intent, rather than impulsive reaction. It ensures your plans develop in a vacuum, shielded from premature scrutiny or sabotage, allowing them to gain momentum before revealing their full force. The mastery of this silence, this internal fortitude, is what allows you to truly own your vision and direct your path, rather than being swayed by external pressures. But how does this deliberate, almost monastic control over your internal landscape then translate into tangible influence over others, especially in negotiation or confrontation scenarios? In negotiation, or any high-stakes interaction, your internal landscape is your battlefield. The man who can command his own emotions possesses a formidable weapon. He doesn't react, he observes. While others are swept up in the current of immediate provocation or perceived threat, he stands on the shore, reading the tides. This is pure emotional control. It's not about suppressing feeling, but directing it. It's the difference between being a pawn and being the player. This mastery, it allows you to dominate the mental game. When your opponent attempts to bait you, to provoke a predictable response, your calm, unyielding presence shatters their expectations. Their pre-calculated strategies fall flat because they are built on the assumption of your emotional vulnerability. You become the immovable object, and their force crumbles against your composure. This is where true power resides, not in overt aggression, but in an unshakable inner core. A high-value man understands that his value isn't derived from how useful he is to others, but from his capacity for strategic thought and emotional resilience. He doesn't seek validation through subservience, instead his presence alone. You can shift the dynamics of a room. People feel the weight of his resolve. They sense the unyielding logic behind his actions, unclouded by fear or desire. This subtle but profound influence is a far cry from mere utility, which is often a disguise for weakness, a desperate bid for acceptance. When you refuse to be drawn into emotional theatrics, you subtly engineer a new reality. Your very stillness becomes a form of psychological pressure, a quiet yet potent manipulation of the environment. You force others to confront their own anxieties and impulsiveness, while you remain centered. This generates profound respect. It makes you unpredictable, formidable. They can't pin you down, can't label you, because your reactions aren't for their consumption. They are for your strategic advantage. This is a fundamental masculine strategy, to lead through strength of will, not through emotional pleas or reactive outbursts. It positions you not as a resource to be exploited, but as a force to be reckoned with. This isn't about being liked, it's about being effective. It's about ensuring that your decisions are driven by a higher purpose, a grander design, rather than by the immediate need to please or to solve someone else's problem. You control the board, you dictate the tempo. But what happens when that tempo is suddenly interrupted? When an external force threatens to dismantle your carefully constructed equilibrium and demand your immediate, uncompensated service? This is the precise moment the system strikes. Planting the insidious seed of guilt thrives on your perpetual motion, on the illusion that worth is synonymous with constant activity. You are conditioned to believe that any pause, any deviation from the relentless grind, is a lapse, a failure, a moral deficiency. This isn't merely about demanding your labor, it's a sophisticated mental game, a profound act of manipulation, designed to keep you from ever fully owning your time, your thoughts, your very essence. The system, in its Machiavellian brilliance, understands that a man constantly occupied has no time for introspection. No space for strategic contemplation, no energy to question the established order. Rest for them is not a necessity, but a luxury, even a vice. They brand it as laziness, a disease that threatens productivity. But for the high-value man, for the man who understands the deep currents of power, rest is a weapon. It's a strategic withdrawal, a period of recalibration where true insights are forged, where the next decisive move is quietly planned. Your ability to resist this programming, to sit in stillness without the gnawing feeling of obligation, is a profound act of defiance. It demonstrates formidable emotional control. When you choose to disengage, to refuse the frantic pace others are compelled to maintain, you are not being idle. You are demonstrating an elevated state of being. You are showing that your worth is intrinsic, not dictated by your output. This understanding is a cornerstone of genuine masculine strategy. It's about conserving energy, not squandering it on busy work designed to keep you compliant. The system wants you to feel guilty for not being a perpetually moving cog, but your true strength lies in your capacity for stillness, for choosing when and where to exert your influence. This generates immense respect. They see a man who isn't swept up in the collective hysteria of constant doing, a man whose time is his own, whose priorities are self-determined. This isn't laziness, it's a form of strategic disengagement that allows for superior planning and execution, a reclaiming of cognitive bandwidth. The system seeks to create obedient pieces, functional units, but the moment you reclaim your right to inactivity, to strategic observation, you begin to operate on a different plane, one where you are the architect, not just a brick. This resistance, this deliberate choice to not be busy, is the first step in dismantling the subtle chains that bind. But how does one consistently maintain this internal sovereignty amidst a world screaming for your attention? This isn't just about reclaiming time, it's about mastering the mental game of power. Have you ever been subtly caught in a web of manipulation, perhaps by the constant pressure to be busy, and only now realize its grip? Tell me below. To truly become a high-value man, one who understands emotional control and the deep masculine strategy behind earning genuine respect, you need more than surface-level advice. Subscribe and activate the bell. It's the only way you'll continue to discover these truths, lessons even Machiavelli himself would recognize as essential. Next, deepen your understanding of how true power is silently exerted. Until then, stay firm, stay strategic.